50% of all Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans will develop PTSD or have PTSD. Most are diagnosed within the 3 years. Most it takes 3 years because most do not develop the symptoms until 2.5 years after they come back. They also may develop from sexual trauma in the military, which is prevalent male and female. And 60% of men and 50% of women in the military will develop PTSD at one point. So, substance abuse in the military. When they're in the military, about 24.5% of servicemen abuse prescription drugs. Only 2.1% of service women will abuse prescription drugs. 2.3% of servicemen will abuse illicit drugs like methamphetamines, cocaine, cracks. Only 0.8% of servicewomen will abuse illicit drugs. 47% of servicemen binge drink, which is 2 to 3 drinks a day, 2 to 3 times a week. And then 13% of servicewomen will end up binge drinking. So among veterans, around 65% of veterans do marijuana to treat PTSD because it's actually one of the more known factors to treat PTSD, but it is not allowed by the VA. So if you would come in for a drug test by the VA for your benefits and they found that you're doing marijuana, you would lose all your benefits, even though it was one of the best treatments of PTSD. 85% of them are male, while 15% are female. 45% of veterans binge drink, 53% are men, while 47% are female. 17% abuse prescription drugs, 41% are male, while 61% are female. And then 12% use illicit drugs, 79% are male, while 21% are female. So suicide rate among veterans, 4,425 combat deaths have happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. Since the same time, 6,000 veterans have taken their own lives. And in around every 80 minutes, a veteran takes their own life. So at this continued rate, by May of 2019, double the amount of there will be more suicides and combat deaths by double. Some of the factors include why they might take their own lives: homelessness, feeling hopeless, and feel like they're a drag on their family. So like if a veteran has 2 kids and a wife and he can't do anything with his kids because he can't go outside because he's afraid an IED might go off, he feels like he's going to drag on his kids because he's not being the father that he wants. And he feels like he can't be the husband he is to his wife because he can't go grocery shopping or go with her. And if you look at the top right picture, it says he's a Vietnam veteran, and he served between 68 and 69. This picture was taken in 2014. If he was 18 in 1968, which means he would have been born in 1950, that means he's homeless at about 70 years old. So he's a veteran who's 70, supposed to be getting Medicare and Medicaid and his benefits, and he's homeless because he doesn't get any of these because the VA is so behind and backed up with corruption. So many veterans don't get the service they need. Madison VA and the Milwaukee VA are actually 2 of the best in the country with the wait times, getting people in and getting people the benefits and prescriptions and psychiatrists. So if I click on this, is the first minute and a half is some stats.
We watched the whole 7 minutes.
What's this song? But,
Oh.
you can hit the logo. So some of the factors for homelessness for veterans, they cannot reintegrate, if they're especially combat veterans, they cannot reintegrate into society because they spent 1.5 years in Iraq where they were getting shot at, IEDs blown up at them, and they couldn't trust the random person. So they cannot reintegrate into society as well as somebody who is not a veteran, so they can't get a job because they're having a hard time. Like, National Guard member in Wisconsin. He was a cook. My dad served with, and he was a cook. And he could not go back to cooking because the banging the pots, banging the pans, this yelling, and especially during a dinner rush, he couldn't do it, and so he ended up having to quit. He became homeless and ended up taking his own life. So what might be some treatment for PTSD? Therapy dogs. They're trained to notice symptoms of PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So like veterans depressed, they'll come up to them and they won't leave them alone until they start giving them attention and notice that they're better. Drug counseling, so the VA gives drug counseling where you get small amounts of the drug, less and less and less, until you're off of it in about a month and a half. Except they don't do it with methamphetamines, they just do it with mainly marijuana. Therapy, where you go see a psychiatrist and his or her assistant, and you go 2 times a week. And psychotherapy, what they do is they lay you down and they pretty much put you in hypnosis, and they bring the memories back that you do not like, that you shuddered away, that you do not talk about, and they bring them to the front. And hopefully what they do is that you can deal with them, you can see them, and you realize they're memories and not what's going on right now, so you can deal with them. And group therapy, they find about 10 or 11, 12 veterans that have similar problems that you do, and you guys try to talk about them and try to find together a way to deal with them. So if a veteran feels like he's going to take his own life and he wants to do something about it, or his family knows about it and they see something, they would call a crisis hotline. And this is just the trailer for the documentary.
I'm Dana Perry. I'm Ella Gusenberg-Kent, and we're Oscar nominated for our short documentary, Crisis Hotline, Veterans Press 1. Crisis Hotline, Veterans Press 1 is a story about the crisis of veteran suicide as seen through the eyes of responders at the only crisis hotline for veterans in the United States.
Well, the statistics for veteran suicide are somewhere around 22 per day. That's almost 1 per hour. That's pretty much almost double the rate for non-veterans. So that's just beyond staggering.
Arizona. Do you know what kind of gun it is he has? I think it's a 22. Okay, so he told you that he wrote a suicide note, and it's with him in the truck right now.
We're trying to destigmatize reaching out for help. We're trying to say there's no shame in this. If you're a military member, it's not weak, instead it's strong to recognize that you need help and to get it.
That's about 4 personnel to help one guy, which we would do over again. No problem. Because this is a good ending to this day.
Finding out that we were Oscar nominees was just mind-blowing. To be in this company, to be included in a year when there's another important film that looks at the life of someone who's coming home from war, American Sniper, we thought this is a great year to bring some attention to a really important issue. We were thrilled. It's exciting to be able to show the short documentaries to a broader audience in a theater. That's an amazing thing, and I think what audiences will see this year is a real diversity of voices.
Actually, most call center people who answer the phone are veterans themselves that most likely deal with PTSD, deal with anxiety, but the people that call, they said, are 10 times worse than they are, that they want to take their own lives to get it over with.
Any questions? I think everybody would be shocked to know the statistics behind that.